While he's there,
Okay, go ahead, Les.
The kind of theme or the purpose of Light and Life groups having to do with looking what we can do to contribute to bringing higher spiritual awareness and evolution to the issues of the day, and to prepare the way for a greater dispensation of the mission, right? So I have a little bit of reporting I can do here. Yeah, I'm in New York City, and regarding this scenario with the pandemic and the resistance and that has grown in response to the pandemic, there have been some large, fairly large rallies, groups of people, over 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000. And I just want to report that some of the speakers are one of their central messages is unity, cosmic unity. Okay, the type of unity that we have insight to as readers of the Urantia book. This is what I've been hearing and noticing. Also talk about frequency and being just aware and connected to the understanding and the sensitivity to frequency and vibration, and how, despite and including with all the tensions, the tribulations, the controversies being faced by the world today, these I'm noticing in these events, this awareness of raising the vibration, frequency, and this cosmic unity in the face of incredible division and tensions on the political stages. So I just find that incredibly interesting, and I think very well worth noting and being aware of, and witnessing and supporting. And that's why I just wanted to share that with this group.
Thanks, Les.
Thanks, Les.
Les, I want to thank you for your work, long term. More recently, I've seen something of your contribution to an NYU professor who's quite active and in this particular regard with regard to the pandemic and the truth. You might call it, there used to be 911 truth, and now there's pandemic truth, But anyway, thank you for your work in that regard.
Oh, welcome. Thank you for your recognition, David. Robert, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's that work continues in a big way, and it's growing in a big way. And there's an interesting sort of a juxtaposition happening. A melding of these various topics, whether it's 9/11 to pandemic and so forth. And this is also, I think, an evolutionary development, because there's this recognition of the connection between events such as 9/11 and the pandemic and other global challenges, whether it's environmental or refugee crisis and all of these things, wars. And there's a recognition that they're connected. And there's a source behind it, which there's a recognition of that, quintessential evil of the forces of Caligastia and the dark side there, and which is an interesting thing again to observe. And with that, maybe there could be potential here for the ability to recognize how we, and all of these people engaged in these pretty hefty battles can recognize the wisdom and the power of coming together in our unity, a realization of cosmic unity as a countering energy to the forces of darkening. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to say something too.
Please.
What Les just was saying, from all the spiritual sources I am, reading about and aware of, the message right now goes in that direction completely, is that rather than complaining about what is not working, feeling this outrage that so many of us feel all the time, getting our buttons pushed, our job now is to becoming, light and life within ourselves. Our job is to nurture all the positive emotions that we can be able to do so. And it's a practice, and we have to be aware where our thinking, our feeling is going, and be able to go with the other alternative. Instead of complaining about something, visualize things being fixed, or visualize, the opposite. I feel that we can, we have to get that light and life within ourselves before the world can go in light and life. So it's one person at a time, but as a collectivity, like we've been doing in that meditation, we are powerful. If we focus on such positive intentions, we can do great work. And especially knowing that the thought adjuster circuit, right, is enhanced. It's like a network around the planet. And through our adjuster, we can spread good vibes through the whole circuit, because all the adjusters are just waiting for that too. Our free will decisions to partake to that, and so for me, that's what is hopeful right now. It's things that we are privileged to know, and that we can work with and grow within ourselves and mature towards self-mastery. I mean, we have great opportunities to grow amid all those tribulations we're going through. So that's how I see it personally.
Thank you.
Nice, well said.
Agnes, thank you for your contribution, your written work that I'm aware of, that you make available to so many.
Let's maybe have one or two more comments, questions, prophecies.
One of the things I've been talking with some people about is you got the thought, word, and deed and boils down to thinking, speaking, and doing. And so everybody can have a thought about what they're reading. They can talk about it. And most people, that's as far as they go. But the thing that sets the next group apart is the ones that take action on all of this and do things in our society, work towards this light in life and work towards helping not only yourself, but others in their ascendant adventure. So I try to remind them they got to go all the way with the thought, word, and deed, not just part of it. So. Yeah, I'm done.
Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay. Byron, when you sent out your first letter, I was intrigued because you said something to the fact of things that are happening or things that are to come, but you didn't specify. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I was rather curious as to what do I need to get ready for?
Actually, I can't remember saying that, but I'll address it
Oh.
anyway.
I
Because I was just
saved it.
thinking about that. So,
Okay.
You had mentioned a critical time.
yeah, critical.
Yes. Thank you, David. That was it.
Well, we were considering having another discussion of the notion that we're past the tipping points for the biosphere, right? And for social sustainability, which most of you must have seen the questions that were answered by Macavena coming from our group. One of them said, well, we're far past the tipping points for sustainability. So there's going to be what we have been telling you, which is this cascading cataclysms, which is happening more or less. And in talking to Dave this week, we thought, well, I mean, it really feels extreme, to say such things, but here it is, Macavena is saying that through Daniel. On the other hand, for me, it's generally correct view of things. And so if you're past the tipping point, what do? Well, I think you've got to do a lot of prayer, but you also have to prep yourself and your family in the light of what you think is going to happen. And we have other sources for the idea that the tipping points we're far past them. Scientific sources. I was asked to sort of take over this news-oriented website, and it turns out I didn't do it. They weren't paying enough, but I offered to create a solutions section for this big website. So we're in a discussion about what would that entail. And it came down to the owner of the website said, well, I don't want to talk about post-doom, as they call it, right? It's the post-doom paradigm. What do you do? This is really what we're getting from Daniel slash Macavena. We're going to be looking at post-doom because social sustainability design teams are designed for that, more or less. And so there you go. It's we're at the end of the discussion, but not really. But I don't want to. I'm sympathetic with the owner of that website. He says, "Look, I don't want you to post those kinds of solutions. I want to save the world right now." That's what this guy is basically saying. And So, this is a question of wisdom. What is the wise thing to do if some of these systems are too far gone? Because mitigating climate change right now seems like not likely. There's plenty to do, but you got to have some science, and you got to have some empirical study of what's happening. And so, I don't know if that's something for this group. I'm not sure.
Well, if there are scientists among us, I'm sure that they're hard at work. Science has been abused of late. Science is built upon the foundation of healthy skepticism of the assumptions of authority. And that's no longer functioning. The name science has been appropriated by authorities that would continue the governance by deception. And it is that governance of deception that is ending. And because it has been maintained for eons, practically everything has to be rebuilt. And so what we see as something falling apart is far from it. It's just the ground breaking for something to grow that has been planted and is being nurtured. And it nurtured spirituality of every person, every person. The spirit of truth does not discriminate against one group or another. It works with every person of honest of heart. And that spirituality is growing so profoundly, so rapidly. The institutions that have been built upon the past are falling apart because it cannot sustain the magnitude of this growth. And so it's not doom, and it is not post-doom. That's sort of like, I don't know. I mean, that makes me think of the apostles after Jesus died. Yes, they were in dismay and despair. And it's a realistic and understandable human feeling. But those who were of faith, and they weren't necessarily the strongest of faith, weren't found in the apostles. There were people who took him at his word and had no doubt. They were not listed in the books that were written about Christianity, but they carried on. And everyone here and everyone everywhere that listens within and around them is doing this work in many different ways. Whether scientists, social activists, political activists, religious activists, writers, artists. There's no limit to the expression of this. So Byron, I don't know what to tell you.
No doom.
Well, depends on one's perspective. If one is more identified with what is disappearing, then there is nothing but doom, because it will disappear.
Well, if your food sources disappear, not so hot.
Well, what matter does it make? If you die in the service of truth, there's all the more glory to you. What did Jesus tell us? If you're persecuted, if you're killed, if you're hauled before authorities for speaking the truth, speak it. Be faithful to your deepest convictions of truth.
May I add something, Robert? Are you finished?
I'm finished. Yes.
I'm having a deja vu experience here. I'm going back to the 80s,
Yeah.
and I'm back in Northern California with Vern Grimsley's group, the Family of God.
Right.
And we had very, very similar conversations.
Yeah.
This decision making, this fear hanging over us that we had to do something because World War III was coming. The end of the world as we knew it was coming. And we were debating on how to prepare, what to do, when to do it, how to get the money for it. And I remember sitting and filling up barrels full of sand with root vegetables so we'd have something to eat, and other barrels full of seeds so we could, redo the gardening and stuff. And I'll never forget that night that we all went into the shelter at the building at the old seminary. And, I thought, well, this might be it, And there were a lot of comical things going there, like somebody's grandmother being wheeled in with her potty chair following her. I mean, you had to have a sense of humor because it was so serious. And then I remember waking up. It must have been 5:30 in the morning and hearing birds singing. And for a second, I was a little disorientated. I said, well, where am I? Oh, nothing happened. We're still alive. We're still here. And little by little, people got up, got dressed, and left and went to their homes feeling foolish. And then that was the end of fog. I mean, it just fell apart after that. And we had wonderful, wonderful, hardworking people, well-intentioned people. I don't want to go through that again. Because to this day, I question, Father, what went wrong? We all had the right intention. We were all hard workers. What went wrong? And I guess that's my question now.
Well, when there's a focus upon what is dying and disappearing, if it's an organizational focus upon that, the organization will disappear. And that's what happened.
I don't think we were focused on it. It's just kind of people got disillusioned and left because they felt they were putting their time, money, and effort to something that didn't pan out.
Yeah, well, there was an investment in something that didn't pan out. And there was such a great investment in it that when it didn't, the organization disappeared. There's a lot of persons, a lot of organizations invested in doom. There's a lot of things. I mean, you can look around you and see them everywhere. I think that's the importance of persons to inspired by faith, is to suggest that doom is not, there is no end. The only end that is real is a relationship between personalities. And anything that fosters those personalities and those relationships is what is real. Everything else passes away.
Well, maybe on that note, we can finalize tonight. Thank you, everybody. And anybody else have anything in closing?
I do.
Oh, good. Please. Well, me.
Just listening to everyone and everything, and as it all comes together, it made me think of what Jesus said, that when he returns, he will come like a thief, or they said that he would come like a thief in the night. So if we're all worried about doom and gloom, and not to say that it won't happen, because logically it looks like we're headed that way. I agree with the woman who spoke earlier about focusing on the good emotions and learning to enhance them so that we can attract more of that. And with this group, just the meditation alone, even if someone didn't know how to meditate, just sitting in silence with this group, the energy that everyone brings to this table is, wow. it feels as though that the work is being done, and in a way that resembles that truth, that when he returns, it'll be like a thief in the night. Because this is how we overcome the darkness in the first place, because it's not something that people, government, or anyone is really expecting. It is so far out from the realm of understanding for the secular mind.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think along with that, what Les and Anya's, I think, was saying about unity, and that's the way to go. That's the essence of what life and life is all about, light and life. And so the more we tune into the eternal reality, I think the more we can infuse this material reality that we're in with that love and light and life and make it real here. So,
Thank you,
thank
Dave.
you. Thank you all.
Thanks. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Byron.
Great to see you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. Thank
Dolores,
you.
could you stay on for a bit afterwards, Dolores? Thanks.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Good to see everyone.
Good
Bye.
night.
Good night,
Praise
Val.
God,
Goodbye.
keep the faith.